few days' time, you're going to head to San Francisco for WWDC.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you if you're excited. I know you look forward to it. You love going.
Yeah.
And this year is no different. Your passport has got 9 years left to run, so you're in business.
Almost 9 years to the day.
And that's good news. Now, speculation about all the things at WWDC. You and I did this last year or the year before, both, I think.
Always get it wrong.
Always get it wrong.
Yeah.
We're going to stop making hardware predictions because it's not a hardware show.
No.
And however, what Apple will announce at this year's WWDC seems to be kind of hardware related, at least. What's your gut feeling on things we might see, just generally?
Well, the big thing everybody's expecting while they came out with it was the Watch OS, so WatchKit, native WatchKit apps. So,
okay. So this will be a kit for you to develop natively on the watch.
Yeah. So right now the way it kind of works is you've got an extension to your app which runs in your app on your phone, and it kind of sends a remote user interface to the device, and then the device can respond to taps and send that back. But it all runs in the space of the phone effectively.
Okay.
There's talk that we will have native WatchKit apps, which means you should be able to actually use a bit of storage on the device, so you can store music on it and stuff like that. So in theory, a little more interactivity and probably a bit more speed, because at the moment everything goes back and forth via the Bluetooth connection to your phone.
Okay.
So hopefully a bit quicker as well.
That's not the biggest thing for you though at WWDC, I suspect, is it? Will iOS 9 be not of more interest to you?
Yeah, it will, of course. I mean, we get every year we get iOS 9 and we get a new OS 10 update.
This year will be 10.11.
Well,
10.11.
It'll be interesting to see what's happened with these. There is a certain level of disquiet among developers about the quality of both of those things in the last number of months.
The quality of what? Of
the operating systems
really?
themselves, particularly Yosemite. They made some major changes to Yosemite and its networking. I've noticed it. I find it quite bad in the office, and there was. I remember Steve Jobs coming out and saying, for Snow Leopard, this is a maintenance release. We're focusing on quality, and I guess there's a lot of people hoping that's the case. And if you go back to last year, if you remember, straight after WWDC, it was the most positive I've seen everyone. And everybody was saying, this is really developer focused. This is amazing, and everybody seemed really. There was actual real buzz around the place after the keynote. All that goodwill seems to have evaporated in the last couple of months.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Mainly because of
quality around
quality,
the Oh, that's interesting. So what do you think? So iOS 9, do you think iOS 9 is going to fix some of that, and then the Yosemite update?
I think it's interesting. The latest beta of Yosemite has reversed one of those major decisions in terms of its networking. But the thing that nobody kind of admits to here is that Apple are actually in competition with Google. Google have just done I/O. They've done some lovely updates to Android, and I don't think either of those parties are interested in saying let's have a maintenance release. They're both trying to one up each other in terms of features. So no doubt there'll be new features. No doubt. Do you know what I mean? But a 1 year cycle, I think we might have even brushed against this last year. 1 year cycle is extremely fast. We're finding most of our customers find it too quick. So we'll see.
On iOS 9 and WatchKit, right? So I think I asked you on the last episode of this podcast, you were saying that you'd expect sort of midsummer by the time you started releasing watch apps.
Yeah.
Is that still the case? Are you still kind of looking
We might
at
even
that?
hold off at this stage.
Exactly.
We've done some stuff with the Watch app, but remember, it's not on general release here in Ireland yet at all.
Yeah.
We don't even have a date for it.
Although I have.
Although you have one. Yeah.
Guy brought it in.
You'll be getting to send your heartbeat to people. But I think, let's see what happens next week, because remember, iOS 9 is typically a three month cycle, beta cycle. So normally late September when it comes out. So whether we want to hold off for that is another question. But I might see something next week and go, oh, this is amazing. Why don't we just do it that way?
I know. So things like, it's funny you mentioned Google and I/O, because things like the Google Now cards. Apple have got to start. We've got to start seeing that on watch and that sort of functionality. And part of the problem I think about this is because Apple control less, or Apple have access to less of my data and my movements and my activity on a daily basis than Google do.
Yeah.
So whereas I have a Motorola Android Wear watch, the Moto 360, which I think is a brilliant smartwatch, but I notice I don't put flight times or things into my calendar, but my watch knows when I'm going on a flight.
Wow.
And it tells me, and when I get near the airport or early in the morning, it'll say leave now to make flight number. That's very clever, and Google do that really well.
They do, and they've announced something else at I.O. this week called Now on Tap. Have you seen this? Which is where they're actually looking at the user interface and actually bringing up now cards that are relevant. So the example she showed was a message in one of those messaging apps that all the kids use,
like Snapchat.
It wasn't Snapchat; it was one of the other ones. But it was two messages from her husband. One saying, "Will we go out to dinner? I heard this place is good."
Okay.
And the second one saying, "Oh, and can you pick up my dry cleaning?" And she held the home button, and up popped two things. One was it was a now card for the restaurant with an open table and so on. And underneath was, "Will I create a reminder to pick up the cleaning?" And it was very impressive, and with zero change to the app, by the way.
Really? Yeah.
Right? So they're actually looking at what's on the user interface. Now there's two sides to that, right? Some people are going, this is amazing, it's really super cool, and then some people are saying, I don't want Google knowing so much about me. And the other big thing that Google did, and I'd be interested to see if Apple respond to this one, is Google have just done unlimited photos for free, right?
Yes.
Now I saw lots of people saying, if you take this, you are the product, and I get that now. But I think that, well, first of all, free is a very, very compelling price. We see that in the App Store. We actually see that a lot of this, I guess, a lot of the people who were saying last week, don't be fooled by Google, you are the product, were the same people who were publishing articles about poor performance of App Store apps in terms of of revenue. So who knows? Yeah,
it's about contextualization, isn't it? That's the thing. That's the winner for the consumer, for the end user.
I always maintain that convenience trumps everything.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
So imagine it's now doing stuff that are convenient for you without you ever having to think of, which is, as you describe it, that's kind of pretty impressive.
Yeah. It works very well, and I can only imagine that with the native app kit development now coming to the watch, and you add in iOS 9, surely that's got to be part of it. You would think so. I mean, I hope so. If the watch is to make a serious impact, because for me, Android Wear, which I hadn't dismissed it, but it didn't impress me until I got a Moto 360, and that is the first device that I think this is really, really valuable.
Yeah. I guess what you often see with Apple products, and I guess to some extent Google products, is when you first see them, they're quite impressive, but you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
And then two versions down the road is where it really starts to impress you.
Yeah.
Like if you see the capability, say, of an Apple Watch, when you first use that and you first open it, you see the animations on it and so on, you go, how did they do this? This is actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
This is only version 1.
I know. Yeah.
And so and interestingly to watch is that the to my mind, the best apps on the watch are the ones that came with it.
Yeah.
A lot of the third-party ones, they just feel like you rush something to get it out there.
Yeah.
I think when people have time to have given it a good, be a bit more thoughtful about how to use it as a device, I think we'll start to see lots of better things.
Gotcha.
But I think the integration like Google now is where it starts to get really impressive. And who's to say Google won't bring out an Apple Watch app?
Well, there is talk that Android Wear will be ported to iOS.
I'm not so much thinking about Android Wear.
No,
the Google apps are already good on iOS. I mean, Google Maps is great.
So you think just do an iOS one?
Why not?
I know.
Their dictation is superb.
Yeah, it is superb. It's superb. It's spot on all the time. Yeah.
Siri's got better though.
Siri has got better. Have you heard about this? The new Siri coming as part of this?
No.
So this is the talk that iOS will have kind of a personal digital assistant.
Yeah.
And we can find the name of it. I forget what it's called. It's not as attractive as Siri.
Yeah.
But that it's sort of a little bit like what you're talking about with the new Now feature.
Yeah.
It's kind of sucking from the interface. and so across apps.
Yeah, is that what Cortana does? Cortana seems to be quite good as well.
Cortana. I have I'm testing a Lumia 640, and Cortana's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's so impressive. Yeah, so impressive, and and again, it's useful. 2 years ago, none of these were that useful.
Yeah.
Siri was dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean, really dreadful. Now they're all, well, most of them are getting really good.
I'm quite impressed at Siri these days, and I used to give it quite a hard time, because it wasn't very good. Just at lunchtime today, one of my colleagues was saying Siri never understands anything I say, and I held down the button and she said, "Siri, what's the weather like?" And I just answered straight away.
Really? Yeah. On Apple TV.
Yeah.
All right. So this is interesting. By the way, do you pay any heed whatsoever to how the invites to any Apple events look? Do you think there's any value in bothering to look? Or do you think marketing are now just having a laugh at us?
I think there's a bit of both, right?
Yeah.
Like they're always loaded.
Yeah.
I believe they're always loaded. But I don't really pay much attention to the amount of blog posts they seem to generate.
Yeah. So this year the talk is that people are now beginning to analyze the colors, this. It's an Apple TV. The whole of WWDC is going to be about Apple TV. Any value in that, do you think? And do you think we're going to see a new Apple TV at WWDC?
I think we will see a new Apple TV at WWDC, and the rumours are about a new remote, which I could see with Force Touch and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Force Touch is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I do believe it. It'd be interesting to see about apps for Apple TV, which is also rumoured, because I think that is quite a niche play, if you know what I mean.
I do.
It's fantastic if you are a content company. But without content, I'm not convinced you can do much good on your Apple TV as such.
Proactive is what someone wrote, that the new personal assistant. Proactive, yeah. So it's kind of so proactive, now proactive, so proactive is going to take bits from everywhere. So on Apple TV, the talk is, of course, Apple TV will have Siri integration.
Yeah,
and my theory, I mean, you know how I feel about HomeKit and how Apple TV is going to be the hub of the home. I'm convinced it's going to happen at WWDC. Convinced.
That could be a good way to do it, all right, if it was the hub of the home. I could see that, and I can see Siri control of my TV. I think I'd love to be able to say, Siri, turn that up a bit, will you? And it does, and I've controlled my Apple TV from my Apple Watch, and thought, this is really cool. And almost like within 2 minutes of doing it, almost within 2 minutes of doing it, I wish the rest of my equipment worked on it.
Really?
The amp has a separate thing. I go, this thing has a stupid interface. Yeah. I'm going, how come Sky haven't released a Sky Plus Watch app yet? They're probably waiting on native things, but I could control my Skybox with an app on my phone. Yeah. And generally speaking, it's better than the remote. To my mind. On a watch, it's just, what do you ever want to do? You want to speed it up and slow it down and pause it and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And it works really well on the watch with the Apple TV. So
before, when I read the patent, you remember when we were talking about the iTime patent, which would be September 2 years ago, I think. And I was convinced that that gesture would start to play a part in this. And when I heard Tim Cook say, what was it at the? It was probably at the watch launch, when he commented that I control my Apple TV with mine. I'm still convinced that he does it by gesture. I don't think he's touching his digital crown for that.
The way it works right now is there's a menu button. There's a menu with a play pause, and then there's the 4-way. Then the whole thing is a trackpad, effectively.
Like the remote,
it's a bit like the
remote app. Even
it's a bit more like the remote app.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I don't think it's gesture. I don't think it's gesture. Remember that the Apple TV has really, really streamlined the interface. Yeah. So it's literally just there's 2 buttons and a directional arrow. I don't think it's going to be gestures. I think the way it is now is where it's at.
But you don't think they'll add gesture?
I don't think they'll add gestures. I tell you what I think I can see happening though. For example, you press your Apple Watch and it speeds up. You force press it, it gets faster, which is how QuickTime is working with the new MacBooks, by the way. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I could see that things like that happening. Yeah. So scrubbing is a lot quicker, or getting to a further place. Yeah. That sort of stuff. But I'm I'm not convinced I'd almost imagine voice commands before gestures.
Before gesture. Remember, because Apple did buy the was it the people who made was it Connect? Apple made a couple of certainly one acquisition, and then of course there's the Disney Labs people and what they've done with gesture. So I still remain convinced that gesture will enter Apple's TV experience.
It's going to have to improve a hell of a lot.
Yeah, gesture. Well, some people do gesture very well. So the technology is there, and there's enough of it built into this, I think, to allow gesture to work.
Maybe
Apple TV, right? So an app store for Apple TV.
If they're going to do apps, it'll have to be an app store.
Yeah,
but you do it on the TV. I'd suspect.
Will they have to create an SDK for?
Yes, I think so. But what if you're think about this, right? And this only just come to me. What if your app store is your way of subscribing to channels? So you've seen HBO, and HBO gave Apple, I think it was 60 days ahead of everyone else. It's gone live on Google Play, by the way. But what if it was a case of, well, I fancy subscribing to Sky Sports for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I do it through an app store type interface now. Right, so if you have Sky today, and there are a number of premium channels that when you go to them, it pops up a phone number on the screen, right? So the conversion rates then must be appalling.
Must be.
Imagine I went to, okay, go pay for that through iTunes.
Passive, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Apple TV, do you think okay, so new device, and apps, which means an app developer kit, in turn, and this is one of the things I wanted to ask you. So I think HomeKit and Apple TV are coming together. I think this is probably,
be interesting,
and this is the year, whether it's WWDC, well, it's a question you'll answer when you come back, right? When we do the next podcast after WWDC. But so HomeKit hasn't officially launched, in the sense that there is no home app. With the third-party accessories, some of them came out at CES.
Yeah,
we saw various things like that. For instance, no one has come to you and said, "Can you make me a HomeKit app?"
No, but again, that's quite niche, right?
Yeah,
and
it's niche, but everyone lives in a house.
They do, almost, but not everyone builds light bulbs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
right. So it's actually that I'm not convinced it needs a hub. Do you know what I mean?
Are you not? You think this could be the hub, kind of?
Your phone could be the hub, So I'm not convinced it needs a hub. But if it was, what if instead of it being, what if it being the center for the home, when you think of the home as in a thing that houses a family?
Yeah.
We've already got family capabilities now with app purchases and so on,
sharing,
right?
library sharing,
that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
we've already got a really, really good permission system on the Mac.
Yeah,
for your children around whitelisting and all that sort of stuff. Now imagine, like, my Sky TV, right, has some really dodgy channels down the end of it that I can't stop my kids getting to, right? So they're pin protected, right?
Yeah.
But what if the Apple TV was becoming the hub of the home and family? That's probably a possibility. And
I mean, you could authorize channels. Some channels could be authorized only if you were in the room.
Yeah.
So I do think the home, in a sense, I think it does need a hub. If you're for somebody like Apple, I think it needs a hub because potentially there are so many devices, and you kind of need a point of authority. In the sense that why couldn't one of the kids come in with a watch, bind to all the devices, and say, no, I'm in charge, and I'll set the, so you kind of need it's like an issuing authority, I think. I don't know, let's take HomeKit in terms of, say, switching on and off a light bulb. Yeah, right. It's a real simple example. Today, one of the kids can walk in and switch off the light bulb if he wants. It's not a huge deal. They can, but you mightn't want them to. No, absolutely, and just because the technology could make that better doesn't mean it should, though. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, seen a lot of that tech in our time. So I don't know whether it. I'm still not convinced it needs the hub. It didn't initially when it came out. So it's also a single point of failure. Yeah, I know it is. It is. So might encourage you to buy a spare and have it in the under the stairs. But I appreciate your point. I do think that's just my theory, is that the hub, but the HomeKit. I'm hearing stuff like, I'm hearing Apple are talking to well-known manufacturers about making new devices for them.
Yeah.
So my own research indicates that Apple could well announce their own cameras this year. Apple branded cameras and other devices for the home. And so when I heard that, I said, okay, this is a very serious play, because now they're meeting Nest and Google head on.
Yeah.
So Withings have just announced. Have you seen those beautiful Withings cameras encased in wood?
I haven't.
They're absolutely beautiful. So like drop cam, but a very, very bigger, but very stylish. Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost a little piece of furniture.
Yeah.
You know. So you got Nest with thermostat, CO2 and fire, and drop cam, and works with Nest. Then you've got the Lifix bulbs and things like that. So Apple are going. Apple have this platform that they've done nothing with yet, and I just think Apple TV is the way to enable it. Perhaps
right. I think the problem with HomeKit is like a two-sided business model, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to bother writing apps to control the home if there's no hardware.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to write the hardware if the apps aren't out there, right? So to some extent you need to bring one of those sides up first. So they might well be talking to these people. I can't imagine Apple starting to build a load of hardware just for HomeKit. You know, it's so much better played that. I'm
not suggesting a load of hardware, but I do think we're going to see new Apple consumer devices this year. Yeah, including a camera.
That's a big one.
You know something? You probably did hear it here first.
I definitely did. I heard that one before.
So we'll see. So we might come back to Apple TV in a minute, because we want to talk. Oh, actually, no. Let's kind of veer off slightly.
Yeah.
And streaming service, you and I kind of disagreed about it last time. I still think Apple are going to go the whole hog with streaming service, HBO and more.
Yeah.
There's talk of digital tuner built into Apple TV. Then you hear people saying, no, it's going to be Chromecast side, but it's going to have an A8 chip. And so physically, do you think the device is going to change?
Hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah,
I think it would if it's a new push, and it'll change for the sake of changing.
Yeah.
I've seen some great mock-ups of the current version in space grey and silver.
Oh, and gold. Yeah.
They look great.
Yeah.
But I think if only, there'll also be a reason for it. But if it's being repushed as a new product, I think yes, they will change the form factor. And then that will also enable it to do other stuff. You know.
Do you think they'd put a TV tuner in it?
No.
I'm not inclined to think they would either.
No, absolutely not. Sure, the problem with them thing is they're locked to regions and so on. In terms of a tuner that works here doesn't work in the States and so on. I don't think that. I think the world is cable cutting.
Well, I know. Can you imagine? Can you imagine at an Apple meeting where somebody says, "Let's put a TV tuner in to give people an option to watch content that's not ours"? Leave the room.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I've always felt, and I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it. I always thought they'd crack the studios the way they did the record companies, and that now iTunes is where a lot of people buy their music. Right? I thought that would become the way to view your content.
Yeah.
Now, I think we might have mentioned this before, that that hasn't necessarily worked so well for the record companies. So the studios are holding out a bit
cautious
more, and the networks are holding out a little bit more. But if you take, say, ABC, and I can download the ABC app if I live in America, and I can, if I'm a subscriber, I can look at all the content. You've let that cat out of the bag, so to speak. Why not be that I subscribe to it using my Apple TV, and would still under the same subscription models, I guess. And all Apple becomes then is the wholesaler. They're replacing some of your sales team. You've got an army of salespeople ringing up trying to push your channels on people. Yeah. It just cuts down a bit on that. That'll be worth your 30% probably.
I agree with you, and I think there's a far more cohesive business model in it for both Apple and for the so you talk about, say, ABC or Disney, and they're on Apple TV. You watch a show on television, up flashes the little bar at the bottom, Disney on Ice is touring in your city because they know where you're watching next June. Click to buy. Yes, you click to buy. It debits your iTunes account. Disney on Ice pay you 5%. Apple pick up 5%. You know, ABC pick up 5%. The consumer's footing the bill as usual.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice model.
It's not a bad model. We don't see much of Apple forcing stuff down your throat.
No, we don't.
Even in the iTunes thing, they've tried the social end of it a couple of times.
That didn't work.
Failed miserably. But I don't ever see. I guess the closest thing is if you go to the trailers website, they'll show you movie times in your area and so on. But I've yet to see Apple as being a purveyor of ads in any big way.
No, they haven't been, and yet this could be a nice, gentle way of doing it. You know, I thought when we talked about a year ago this idea that Crazy Notion, could Apple even launch their own currency?
Yeah.
And I was saying, well, iTunes is the way to do it. Deposit your salary into iTunes. You know, and then with Passbook, the biggest purveyor of tickets on the planet, all of a sudden, it's all possible. They haven't done it. Of course, no doubt they've thought about it.
Like I say, I think these things tend to be stepping stones.
Yeah, they do.
You bring up Passbook, and Passbook isn't that impressive, but actually when you use it, it's quite useful. You put your tickets in it. And next of all, people are comfortable with it, and then you can start thinking.
I suppose it's adoption, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Apple TV streaming. Have you used the new music app?
No.
Sorry, the new. Sorry. So, talk of a new music app, and I'm thinking, is it going to look exactly like iTunes for the desktop? The way that's changed over the last while.
Is this just aimed to be a Spotify killer?
Yeah,
right?
well, this is, and so I was. The reason I mentioned iTunes and maybe a new music app is obviously, iRadio surely debuts at WWDC. Is it time?
Again, talk about it. These things tend not to interest me because they only launch them in the States and they start.
Yeah.
It just tends to be a little bit
because
disappointing.
Beats is only a US service, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't even know. That kind of
Beats is only a US service. iRadio looks like a big deal if they do it the Apple way with all the bells and whistles. BBC producers, Zane Lowe, curator of music or whatever.
Some big hitters in there.
So again, all via Apple TV. Is that the?
Yeah, why not? I guess. I mean, the thing I like about my Apple TV is that when I do come home, it does see my library. I can actually sit there and listen to music, but it also does the whole thing of everything I've purchased I can just listen to straight away. So I think possibly. It's interesting to see that as people who listen to music aren't used to doing that through their TV. They're used to doing it through their hi-fi.
Yeah.
So that might be a bit of a departure, but it also means that in your hi-fi stack, you can get rid of your tape deck if you ever have one. You can get rid of your turntable if you had one. You can get rid of your CD player. That your TV is now forming one of the sources in your hi-fi stuff. Yeah. Well, your Apple TV, really.
Did you notice I have a Generation 2 Apple TV and YouTube disappeared off it in the last week or 10 days?
I couldn't find YouTube on mine either.
Yeah,
I found that a bit strange.
You have the same generation. Google changed the API, and so it's not Apple, but Google have dropped support. So it's gone from the device.
But I've got a 720p little black box. That must be a third gen, is it?
No,
that's the second gen.
That's the second gen.
So the first gen was the big ugly one.
Yeah.
Yeah, second gen is the one I have. Yeah.
And now there's there's the 1080.
There's a 1080. Yeah, I don't have that yet.
So me neither. So
I have that in the office. I'll look when I go back.
Okay, so I bet it's on that. So I was looking to see what you could do. I thought there might be a hack or something, but doesn't look like it.
Well, what I did is because I was trying to watch something, show the kids something. But I just launched the app on my phone and AirPlayed it.
And AirPlayed it. Well, that's what everybody's saying is the easiest thing to do. I think if you jailbreak it, I'm not encouraging anyone to jailbreak their Apple TV, but if you jailbreak it, you could use a third-party app.
Or you could put Plex on it and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I did notice it missing, but I hadn't tweaked it.
That's apparently, that's it. Yeah. Okay, interesting. I'm interested and surprised about your lukewarmness towards iRadio. Now, of course, you'll come back from WWDC with the shirt, coding up new radio apps.
I use Spotify. I pay for Spotify.
Yeah. Do you have a family plan?
I don't know what I have. I have a $9.99 plan, whatever that is. Don't use it at home. Actually, just use it in the office. Okay. Really. I don't know. I think it could do a better job of discovery.
Yeah.
I think sharing is great. Sometimes somebody will share a thing and I'll go, well, that's quite a good playlist.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do use the Discovery tab, and but I think it could be better. But maybe Apple can do a better job. Who knows?
We're nearly out of time, right? So a few quick ones for you. So obviously Apple are going to announce a new iPhone at WWDC.
No.
Okay. Apple are going to announce a new Mac Pro at WWDC.
Possibly.
Or, wow, jeez.
Okay, I go.
Do you think?
Not a new one. A Rev to it.
I was thinking no hardware. Obviously, I'm joking about the phone. Mac Pro, Rev, maybe.
Possibly Rev.
Do you think this is all rubbish about iPad Pro making an appearance here? Yeah, I agree.
I'm still not.
I hear you. You don't think they will at all?
Dubious? I'm still dubious about that. Yeah.
So, have you come across anything about the split screen apps, any of that?
That'll probably happen in iOS 9.
You think? Okay, so that's an iOS 9 feature.
Yeah.
How long are you staying in San Francisco?
We're going to do in a week.
A week, wow.
Coming over with me.
Very good.
So, Sunday to Sunday. We get there on Sunday. There's still time to check in to the conference, so you have your badge for the next day.
Do you have to go to the Moscone to get your badge?
You have to go to the Moscone. You have to bring your passport, all that sort of stuff. But what I normally try and do is have kind of a wind down day after the conference. So the conference ends Friday afternoon. We're still there Saturday. Might take in a wine trip. Who knows?
Oh, really? Are you gonna drive up to the Napa and
we'll do something. I mean, one year we took a trip over to Sausalito and just spent the day over there. First time I went to Alcatraz. I've done the trip down to Infinite Loop for a bit of fun.
I think skiing, because when I used to drive up to Lake Tahoe from San Francisco, but skiing's just over now, isn't it? Barely. You can ski late.
I wouldn't be interested in skiing for a day. Definitely not. No. I'd rather take in the sun, to be quite honest.
You'd rather take in the Napa Valley. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Dermot Daly from Tapadoo, always funnier than Craig Federighi. And inevitably this year you will remain so. Enjoy the trip. We'll talk to you when you're back.
Thank you.